Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of JXG Spotlight. I'm personally excited about this. I don't know whether I'm underprepared to have this conversation, but I'll try to do my best. Gen Z. This has been a topic in the recent, I don't know, couple of years even. Like, we say Gen Z is like this, millennials are like this, Gen Z is job hoppers, millennials are workaholics. How much of that is true or how much of that is assumptions? So today we are going to leave the labels aside and talk to the people behind these labels and have a very open conversation to find out the thinking patterns, how they see what their perspective, and to understand each other better. To do that, I have invited two dynamic individuals from our group companies. I have Mr. Sharuka Silva, who represents finance from the JXG, our holding company. Sharuka, welcome to JXG Spotlight.
Thank you for having me, Gamika.
And then we have Thinuri Jayatilake, representing our First Capital Asset Management team. Thinuri, welcome to JXC Spotlight.
Thank you for having me, Gamika.
And the spotlight is on you. Right, let's start our conversation. Gen Z, and both of you represent this generation, and this has been a topic in marketing, in HR, in operations, in everything that you see. Gen Z think like this, Gen Z is doing like this. This is what we should do. Even in marketing, I think I have had so many conversations about how to appeal to Gen Z. And there have been questions from the strategists also asking, is there something called Gen Z or is it just a label, right? Okay, so let's understand each other better. Who is Gen Z? I mean, I'll give you an open-ended question to describe, age, misconceptions, myths, facts, identity. Ladies first.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess Gen Z, if you think statistically, you can think age-wise and so on, but I'd say Gen Z is mostly a group of people, I'd say, who had, let's say, more accessibility to things and even stuff like the internet and global connectivity. But I also just like you said, there are misconceptions as well, right? I think that's something we can get into as we go along.
Yeah.
But I think broadly, Gen Z is a set of people who had more access and more connectivity.
Okay.
In a global sense, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharuka, what are your thoughts on Gen Z?
I'll keep it nice and short and sweet.
No, take your time, no worries, yeah.
I would say Gen Zs are very hyper-aware group of people. They are more focused on having a work-life balance, focused on having a stable mental health, physical health,
Right, okay.
and a group of people who's not afraid to go after what they want
Okay.
and will be very vocal about their needs.
Oh, that's very interesting. I think, I forgot to mention at the beginning, and you two are the youngest who are representing our podcast thus far, Yeah, so very interesting thoughts both of you brought into the table. Now, let's get into technology. I'll probably direct this to Sharuka first. Technology is evolving, AI is coming in, mobile phones or smartphones are being part and parcel of your life. Has technology empowered Gen Z or has that put pressure on Gen Z?
Yes and no. So I'll focus on the yes first.
Yeah.
So in the sense of how it has empowered us, I would say compared to 30, 40 years ago, information is now at the tip of your fingertips now. Right? Whereas back then you had to spend a lot of time, effort reading into books, articles and reports just to just to learn something. Whereas now in your pocket you can just search something and get some information.
Yeah.
So that's there. However, if you look at the other aspects, if we take the labor force, for example, Gen Zs are now entering the labor force. They're the
Yeah.
youngest generation entering it.
Yeah.
And the problem is with technology advancing so much, AI has taken over a good chunk of the entry-level positions.
Okay.
So for us, it's a bit of a challenge because now we have to adapt and find other ways to basically enter the job market. Because it's a bit ironic also, because technology has given us that head
Head
start,
start, but yet also
completely removed that starting line when wanting to start a
It's a
career.
very interesting perspective. I think, just to further go on that, the skill set that you require and your how do I say, your attitude, or how do you apply yourself to a particular job role has also evolved, right? No longer that you can be a paper pusher or just operational guy, right? Thinri, what's your perspective on
I
this?
mean, I completely agree with what Sharuka said as well. Like you said, technology brings everything to your fingertips, knowledge and just even knowledge sharing, knowledge learning as well. And at the same time, like you said, pushing that start line thing, I agree with. And with that also comes, I think something I brought up at the start was global connectivity. With that, I think something that comes up, Gamika, is comparisons also.
Okay.
For example, if I just put something into perspective, back then, not to say it like that, back in your time, but
Make me sound very old, but yeah, that's all right.
yeah, like, say like, or rather our parents' time, right? Comparisons would be, with people that you meet on your day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Could be your classmates, could be your family members, and so on. But now it's a whole nother era where you can compare yourselves with people across globes.
Across the globe. Yeah.
And say like, I'm sitting here right now, I'm doing my job perfectly fine, but I could go on the internet and I could see some 15-year-old doing something absolutely extraordinary, and I could be fully comparing myself against them and thinking, oh shoot, like, am I doing something like important or something of value? That kind of comparison can come into play, which is, I guess, you gotta take it as it comes.
Yeah.
But I guess there's two sides to it.
Yeah.
Like Sharuka said, there's a great access to things.
Yeah.
Accessibility is there, but at the same time, sort of how you form yourself and build yourself in that environment is important, because comparisons could be a thief of joy, if I may say.
Absolutely. I think, you see, I must mention this, both of you, since I had interactions and I know both of you somewhat well. Both of you have outgrown this Gen Z model, I would say, right? In that perspective, on what Thinuri mentioned, that you have the opportunity to compare, and that can also be negative. And, that's also having a lot of mental pressure on youngsters these days. You compare and see whether you're good enough or not, right? You undermine yourself. How do both of you handle this type of situation? Um, what's that mentality to be in comparison with somebody else?
At least for me personally, I don't. It doesn't really bug me because as long as I'm focusing on
You
myself.
don't give a
Yeah.
bleep. Okay, right.
I mean, long as I'm focusing on myself and focusing on how I can grow myself further, that's enough for me. Because end of the day, only person you should compare to is yourself.
That's very matured, yeah. Tinuri, now from the female perspective, younger girls, I mean, they look at, I mean, you have your pictures in terms of all sorts of filters. Beauty comes into a equation. I'm just generalizing the whole thing, and sometimes it adds you a lot of pressure. And you, young female growing up in a professional background, how do you take this, and what's your advice to those who are in your generation who's looking at comparison?
I'd say that's a really good angle that you're taking it there, but I'd say comparison, or rather the internet or social media rather, it gave platform to a lot of insecurities as well, because again, comes from comparison, comes from like, a perfect image that you see online versus what you see when you look at yourself in the mirror. But that being said, something that I'd like to, or that's something that I talk to myself about is, it's your self principles.
Yeah.
As long as you stick with your principles, you have your set of values, and you have how do I say, you have your image. Yeah, that is what's most important, because I cannot be compared to somebody online. I don't even know that person.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And even if it's like physical appearance and so on, you simply can't expect to look like everybody else.
Absolutely.
That would be a really sad thing, actually. So I'd say just sticking to your principles, sticking to yourself, and like Sharuka said, kind of not letting it bug you. But I know that's not easy.
Yeah.
But just being who you are and being true to yourself, your character.
That's easily said and done, right? I mean, there are a lot of youngsters out there. I mean, we can, be very philosophical and say that, don't compare, you're good as you are. How much of that thinking, the values that you spoke about, comes from your upbringing, your background, your parents? Does that has an influence on your thinking? Because, like, your generation, in general, this is a fundamental challenge that we have, right? How much of influence from your family, your upbringing, your background has on your thinking?
At least I can only talk about it in a personal
Yeah,
sense. So for me, we had like a very basic upbringing. Like at least for me, we didn't have smartphones and any of those gadgets at a young age,
Okay.
right? So we had to find other ways to have fun. So TVs were there, of course, but we didn't really rely on technology so much growing up.
Okay.
So that I think that aspect of having that social pressure or having that comparison wasn't really there for
Wasn't
me.
there on the okay.
Yeah, initially.
I mean, also from a parenting point of view, I believe this is something how I try to infuse my daughters as well. Um, like I tell them and emphasize how good they are, and how I mean, like you're beautiful as it is your skill set, etc. So give that confidence. Otherwise, they try to go and search it outside to compare themselves. How's it for you, Thinuri?
I mean, even again, agreed with what Sharuka said. Like, upbringing was quite basic, and I myself did not have a smartphone till I finished school.
Okay.
That's something that my parents ensured that, as much as the accessibility was there, like, not to have a smartphone on my own. And I think, like Sharuka said, our childhood really shapes us, right? But at the same time, saying that, I think a misconception is that people take a generation and put people in a box, right?
Put a stereotype.
Stereotype.
Yeah.
But I think we are more shaped by our experiences, right?
Very good point.
And like, say, even between myself and Shahrukh, I think we are 2 years apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years apart. But we are close in age, but
Yeah.
our experiences, our views, our perspectives can be so different.
Yeah.
Because our backgrounds could be different.
Yeah.
Our capacity or our privilege could be different.
Yeah.
That comes into play
Absolutely.
more than, like putting everybody on a box and be like, okay, Gen Z is this, and that.
How was it like for you in school when the smartphone was not given to you until you finished school? I'm sure there were other kids who had smartphones.
Absolutely.
Peer pressure, and you will probably go home and ask, okay, why I'm not getting a phone? What is it? How is it like for you?
I mean, I definitely was that kid also at some point. I have to be honest. But I mean, my parents sort of instilled that sort of idea where it is not necessary.
Okay.
I mean, I still had, when I say accessibility and connectivity, like, WhatsApp groups and all for school stuff,
Yeah.
I was part of it.
Okay.
Through my mom.
Mom's phone, yeah.
My mom's phone. But they taught me that it is not a necessity right
Yeah.
now, even though everybody seems to be carrying one.
Yeah.
And I think I pretty much was able to get it at the right age. After school is when you really need to,
Correct.
get on with the rest of your life and get on with connecting with your buddies and also.
So
I think
our previous conversation about internet connectivity, social media brought me to a nostalgic, situation. During our time, when we were teenagers or latter part of the teenage, when you want to connect to internet, you need to go on to the dial-up. You remove the land phone line, plug it to your computer, connect it to the router, wait till it goes in that sound, and then connect to internet. It takes about a couple of minutes. And when your father wants to take a call, the line is plugged off and said, hey, what the hell are you doing on the internet? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was now it's a click of a button that you can go into internet. Yeah. Anyway, so let's come into a very important area about jobs, careers. I think, this is for me as a senior person in the marketing. I've tried to recruit people onto my teams. I'm sure this is from HR professionals' point of view also. About career, how do you guys look at career? Because a notion is that Gen Z does not take things seriously. They don't look at longer term careers. I have seen this with my experience in my previous employment also. Some people, they just, youngsters, they walk out from school to office, they get a job, and a little pressure, they say, this is not for me, I'm just going, even without an option, right? They're willing to just let it go. During our time, it's completely opposite. Obviously, we had limited choices on jobs. Our inspiration was to go to a organization, wear a tie and work in a desk, and that's not the case right now. So I'll split the question into two, and maybe I'll start with Sharuka. How do you see career, loyalty, long term? Your perspective about careers.
Careers, I feel like it's very important to do what you're passionate about more than anything else. But like personally, I feel like if you're doing something that you enjoy, doing something that you love, you would put in a lot of effort, putting a lot of time, no matter the difficulties, right?
Yeah.
So at least from my experience with people, I feel like they are still a bit uncertain on what they want to do at their
That's
age.
majority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So luckily, I feel like, at least for my case, I found out
where you want
early
to.
on what I want to do, and that's why I'm a bit more committed in what I do.
How did you get that thought? This is where I want to go. I mean, this is something that a lot of kids are actually looking at. Okay, they are just still wandering around. Where should you go on my career?
Yeah.
How did you get that inspiration?
Okay, so initially, if you look at during my uni time, I did law actually
Okay.
before I got into finance.
Okay.
And when I did law, I realized that this is not for me.
Okay.
Love studying it, but
Yeah.
as a job, I was like
You're not going to enjoy
not
that.
interested.
Yeah.
Then I did a little bit of like me time of and think and like thought about what I want to do with the rest of my life and looked back during my school days and I thought, okay, I really enjoyed studying the commerce subjects.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, why don't I give finance a try? So
Okay.
then
Was there any influence from somebody or inspiration from your dad or anybody?
I mean, yeah, my dad did play a big factor. So he was
Okay.
also in finance
Okay,
during
okay.
his career, and I saw what he had done during his that is growing up for me. And I thought, okay, this is something I would like to try out. And so applied for an internship at JXG, and
The rest is history.
yeah,
Yeah. So, Thinuri, you have been working at First Capital for how long now?
Like 4 to 5 years now.
4 to 5 years. So that's relatively a long-term career in the current perspective. A lot of people don't stick to one organization for a longer time. Even during my career, I happened to shift. I was in marketing, so I was getting bored with certain brands at a particular. So my pattern was about 3.5 years to 4 years. I've been switching brands to get better challenges in that way. But even right now, the youngsters, I mean, they don't take things seriously. I mean, this is my view. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. I mean, Dagamik, I think you're touching on a very good point that Gen Zs sort of face on a day-to-day basis in corporate life. I think again, I think a misconception is the whole fact of burnout, right?
Okay.
A lot of people believe that burnout is a sign of sort of loyalty,
Okay.
and that, for example, like replying to a mail at midnight, right? Some people consider it to show commitment. Whereas to me personally, and maybe to a lot of Gen Zs, I can only speak for myself at the moment, I don't think it shows commitment, but much rather it shows that you don't, one, there's no time management.
Absolutely.
And two, like, there's no work-life balance, right?
Absolutely.
And even the concept of burnout, I think a lot of people are like, how do you say, a lot of people assume that burnout could be a sign of like, loyalty to your company or like you said, long-term like career and all. But the way I see it, and something that Sharuka also touched on, like joy or like how do you say, happiness that you get out of work
Absolutely.
is absolutely important, right?
Yeah,
Because
100%.
you spend like 8 or 9 a.m.
Hours
till
a day.
like
Yeah.
5 p.m. with these people
Yeah.
and doing something. And that sort of has to get you out of your bed in the morning. It has to really
100%.
drive you, right? And I believe it has to be sustainable
Correct.
because you are looking at stability, right? It
Yeah.
has to be sustainable. But that being said, I think the society sort of dressing up those norms such as burnout that I spoke of to be loyalty, I think
That's wrong, right?
does more harm than good to a person,
No, I can definitely echo the same sentiments. I mean, like, even my career, I'm much older than you guys. So I've stick to places where it kept me challenging and where I was passionate, right? I kept growing in organizations where I was passionate about and love what you do. Moment I see I gets bored because I'm in marketing and brands and all that, and I get bored, I moved out. But see, right now, I mean, from your perspective, what are those little factors that keep people attached to an organization from your generation? I mean, like, what make you feel, how do I say, love your job? Is it the challenges? Is it the culture? Is it the people? What are your thoughts on this? Maybe Sharuka? Yeah.
I feel like, at least in terms of what you had just explained, it's very split amongst our generation. So there's a certain group of people that really focus on the monetary aspect of the job where they need to be paid based on like it's very reflective to the work you do.
Okay.
So certain jobs, they might feel like they're getting underpaid
Okay.
and they deserve to earn more. So because of that, they might keep moving jobs to find to have a better pay.
Okay.
And there's another set of people that actually value like trying to grow, trying to have some challenges,
Okay.
which is I personally think I fall in that category because for me, I feel like the money will come eventually, long as you focus on
Yep.
like creating a solid foundation for your skills and knowledge. That's more important.
So I'll switch the question a little bit and ask Thinuri and then come back to you as well. If I give you some perspectives about jobs and certain variables to score on a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being more important and 1 being the least, right? How important is the monetary value you get? 1 to 10 scale.
Personally,
Personally?
personally, I'd say 6.
Charu?
4, 3.
In terms of job challenges, 1 to 10.
Job challenges meaning you're saying?
How challenging is your role?
Okay.
Yeah?
I'd say a good 8. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. 8,
Eight?
also, yeah.
Okay. Learning opportunity?
9, 10. Yeah.
10.
Yeah, 10.
10? Okay. People around you?
10.
Yeah, 10. I feel
10?
like that's really important.
Culture?
I'd say 9, 10 again. Yeah. 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same.
Recognition?
Very good point. I'd say
I
again.
kept it to the last
yeah. I'd say somewhere around 8 or 9. Yeah.
Can't disagree with that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Right. So interesting. So let's move from careers into a few other areas. So I just want to. I mean, like I'm trying to couple 2 questions now. Millennials versus Gen Z. What are the biggest misconceptions that you feel that the millennials have about Gen Zs? You'd like to go first?
I think, again, maybe sort of going into the corporate culture here as well, but sort of trying to keep that aside. But I think we are viewed as lazy, sometimes not even respectful, or like, entitled is a word that I always hear.
Okay.
So I think that's a misconception.
Misconception, yeah.
Yeah, because like I said again, like it's sort of putting everybody in a box. It's putting everybody's experience in a box, whereas a lot of this comes with like privilege,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Entitlement comes with privilege, and entitlement can be weaved in a numerous ways, right? And like even going back to like what Sharuka said on like work wise and being able to switch around and all of that, because we get called job hoppers as well,
Yeah,
right? That's
yeah.
something that we always hear. I think it comes from, again, a side of privilege, because some people, like Sharuka said, might be looking at it in a very monetary perspective, and some people could be looking at it in a more experience and challenging perspective. But that perspective and that choice comes with privilege,
Privilege,
right?
okay.
So I think, like you said, going back to your question, misconception or like a difference between millennials and Gen Z would be that we get boxed a lot, I feel.
Okay.
But that being said, I feel it sort of comes with older generations always saying that in the youth. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
baby boomers would have boxed millennials
Millennials were
and
like this.
millennials would have
It's always the case, and you would
it's
probably look at the Gen Alpha in a different way, right?
Exactly. So I think it's just a snowball rolling down the hill sort of thing.
Interesting. Sharuka, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree that there's a big misconception that we're lazy. But that's not necessarily a bad thing also, right? Because if by being lazy also you find more efficient ways around things, a bit more a different approach to things.
Oh, yeah. I never
rather
thought
than
about that, yeah.
rather than doing the traditional way.
Yeah.
So in a way, if you think about it, we promote efficiency more than anything else. So rather than calling us lazy, I'd like to think that we're more efficient.
I think from my perspective, from one of the points that you mentioned earlier, that your generation will speak up, right? You're opinionated, and you're not scared to put your thoughts out. I think that's a good thing. I accept it. I mean, even in our team, I encourage all the youngsters to bring out their thought. Just that I come out with a concept, that's not the end of the world. You can always challenge that. But I think there's a misconception from the millennials, and you guys don't know how to respect. But I don't agree on that one. But also something I see, I have experienced this. I'll tell you the example also. In one of my previous organizations, I had a young set of sales guys. One guy, sportsman, Colombo School. He had to travel from bus from Ratmalana to Navala. 2 days he came in, he said, I can't be traveling, so I'm quitting the job. And that was for me, what? I used to travel in bus when I was 19, 20 to go to my job. I got my vehicle long after that. But see, this is a thing that we as millennials see, that the point that you mentioned about lazy, that you're not ready for hardship. I think I might be stereotyping. You guys might be different. What are your thoughts on this point?
I mean, yeah,
No,
go
go
for
ahead,
it.
go ahead.
I guess it is a bit of stereotyping because it's to each their own, right?
Okay.
I mean, even between myself and Shahrukh, I don't think we would have sort of addressed that situation that you spoke of, maybe like going from Ratmalan to Nawali in the past. I don't think we would have addressed the situation in the same way, right?
Okay.
It's a to each their own kind of situation, I believe. Like, again, perspectives matter.
Yeah.
And even when you mention hardships, like my thoughts or my ability or capacity to take hardships could be different to, say, Sharuka.
Yeah.
Given the circumstances
Circumstances
that
you
I
got.
am in
Yeah,
versus Sharuka's
yeah.
in. So I think, again, it's a form of generalization that we see a lot. Like you had sort of, I'd say, quote unquote, a bad experience with a
Yeah.
youngster.
Yeah.
You sort of then try, or you sort of go into a place where you sort of view the entire generation in that
No,
sense.
actually, see, it's just one off, right? I recruited similar age group people. I saw people who are really working hard. The only difference between was this guy is from a Colombo school, the other people I got from outstation schools. And they were working really hard and they wanted to achieve and prove something. They moved out from their hometown, come in, stay in Colombo in a boarding house. They wanted to prove themselves and they became senior leaders in that team.
But I feel like that also comes into our earlier argument where it depends on your upbringing.
Yeah,
Exactly. I
privilege
think
and
the
upbringing,
background,
yeah.
the whole
Exactly.
upbringing of that. So fantastic. In terms of choosing an organization to work with, both of you, I mean, you 4 years ago you decided to work at First Capital, and maybe about 2 years ago you picked up JXG. Do you, like, for us back in our time, we looked at, okay, is the company certain categories? I mean, during my time it was the banks, FMCGs, telco, etc. That's all we looked at. We didn't look at whether these companies having a social cause or their culture, to all that stuff we didn't think through. Did you look at JXG and First Capital in that way before you joined?
To be honest, in terms of social aspect, not at all.
Okay.
I feel like
Does it matter?
for me, no. A business
Okay.
is a business.
Okay.
Main objective is to make profit. That's all.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Thinuri?
I definitely did look at that aspect, say,
Okay.
when, like, culture was a big aspect of it, because, like I said, you spend 9 to 5 with these people.
Okay.
The culture matters.
Okay.
So that's something
So
I
you
really...
did your research and background
Yes,
to see how.
yes. And I believe, like, even during interviews, like, it's a two-way conversation, right?
Yeah.
As much as the company is interviewing you, you're also trying to see if you
Yeah.
fit in well.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I definitely did.
Interesting. In very interesting conversation. I could go on, but I think the production team is also giving me cues in terms of saying that you're running out of time. So I need to move into the rapid fire. This is going to be an interesting one. This is the first time I'm trying this in podcast. I hope it will go off well. So I'll give you some yes and no cards. I'm going to make some statements, and all three of us are taking part in this, and to see whether we agree on this statement or not.
Okay,
All right?
interesting.
I hope this goes well. This is the first time we're trying this out. Okay. Very quick, spontaneous answer. Okay, take a sip of water and be ready. 3, 2, 1. We are okay. Gen Z has a shorter attention span.
I gotta agree on that.
Millennials resist change. Do we all go on the same thinking? I don't know, this experiment will go wrong. Millennials are more judgmental.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a-
could be
some-
circumstantial. Yeah,
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Okay, the fourth one. Gen Z avoids face-to-face talk.
Ooh. Face-to-face talk. I mean, given COVID and stuff, I'd say yeah, but then avoiding it when it comes
Tough
to
one.
yeah.
Okay, so let's rephrase it. Do you guys prefer a discussion face-to-face or send a WhatsApp?
Discussion.
Discussion,
personally.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, okay.
Discussion.
Okay. TikTok is replacing Google. TikTok is taking over any other social media for you guys?
I don't have a TikTok account.
You don't?
No.
So that,
Interesting.
same?
I do.
You do have.
As
So,
an observer.
Interesting. Okay, additional question to this. Something that I found on research is the Gen Z is not getting onto Facebook. And one thing I figured out was because your parents are on Facebook, that's why you're not getting onto Facebook. Is that correct or what?
No, I feel like parents are now also getting on like Instagram and yeah, mostly Instagram now.
We have millennials and baby boomers who are on TikTok having some lot of fun.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, sixth question. Gen Z doesn't take things seriously. Okay, we have a difference there. Maybe you two are exception. Yeah. I also had a Gen Z in my my team. Sharuka's. Yeah. Okay. Last one. Freedom matters more than stability now.
Freedom matters.
Can you have
more.
one without the other?
Yeah, good one. Yeah, I think it's debatable sentence.
Because you need to have some stability in order to get some
Some
freedom.
freedom, yeah.
Freedom. But if you given the choice, gun at your head,
Gun
freedom versus stability.
Yeah, then find freedom, yeah.
Yeah. So me, see, I come from a different generation. I always look at freedom, especially from a marketing point of view. Wherever in an organization, I like creative work. If I've been micromanaged and told me this is what you need to put this color, put the logo here, I don't like it. I want to have my freedom to be creative. If not, and at that point, I have left organization saying I want my freedom to be creative. So I still look at, I know stability is important. I'm not saying no, but I have always shifted, taken risk in my career to be looking at my freedom of work because I believe that is the space, and that's the philosophy that I want my team also to follow. I mean, if they're creative, I mean, creativity can be subjective. You can debate. My way of looking at creativity will be different to somebody else's, but if you give that freedom only, you can create. So freedom, yes, for me, it's very important. All right, okay. I think I don't know how the experiment went on. Yes or no? We managed safely, I suppose. Okay. Any last thoughts about being stereotyped and putting stickers on Gen Z? Thinuri, you have your last say.
No, I mean, like you said, maybe look beyond stereotyping a set of people.
Yeah.
I'd say generation is just a platform or like a platform or a stage, let's say. The people in it who play parts in the play has different experiences. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
To each their own. Try not to stereotype, try not to generalize, and just have an open mind.
Very good. So I'm not going to ask the same question from Sharuka because I think during our conversation also we said each generation looks at the other generation and say we used to be like this and they should be like this. Your message to Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha?
Yeah.
Oh no. Try to stay off the screens as much as possible. Try to interact with people, and I feel like the language also for Gen Alpha is a completely different discussion. But
And our production team wanted to bring this language, which I am completely. I don't know about this. Some of the slang.
Yeah,
that
I
neither
they
feel
do
use.
some even I wouldn't know,
Very interesting. Okay. All right. Okay. I think very interesting conversation. We would have gone on into different areas, perceptions, viewpoints, etc. But I think our time is limited. So thank you for being very honest and sharing your experience. I think one thing that I actually drew as a common thread between three of us, coming from two different generations, is about your upbringing, your values, how you look at life, your perspective. We should not stereotype everybody. I mean, even in marketing, this is something that I advocate. You can't just say this age group is like this. It's about the mental state and your opinion and psychographics, if I may call it in a technical term. So even in your generation, you two think very differently to Gen Z. And so that's why I wanted to probe and ask some of the questions as well. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts
Thank
and
you,
being at
Gamika.
JXG Spotlight.
Thank you,
Thank
Gamika,
you.
for having us.
Right, very interesting conversation coming to an end. Different experience with two of our colleagues from JXG as well as First Capital. I'm sure that this inspired most of you. I'm sure you will have a lot of thoughts and comments and even criticism about what we spoke about. Please feel free to share your comments and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear that. Until I see you next time, I'm Gamika De Silva signing off for JXG Spotlight.